Jake here for American Trucks, and in this video we're taking a look at the Edge Evolution CTS3 tuner fitting 2011 to 2020 3.5-liter EcoBoost F-150s, excluding the Raptor. If you're looking for a way to make the most out of your EcoBoost powered F-150, the Evolution is a great way to do it. Packing more power and lots of customizability into a sleek package is the name of the game here, and this is a really complete setup that's going to get you the updates you're looking for without having to compromise. Diving right on in here, we installed this on our 2017 F-150 EcoBoost you see behind me, and we ran the truck on the dyno to see what difference this can make. Now, we did dyno our truck in 4th gear to get a clean run all the way up to redline without hitting the dyno speed limiter. It's also worth noting that this truck does have 93 octane in the tank. So with that said, our stock run came out with 319 horsepower at 5,400 RPM and 332 pound-feet of torque at 3,300 RPM. Now, after installing the CTS3 and booting it up, we uploaded the Extreme Tune and we ran the truck again. This time, we saw 398 horsepower at 5,900 RPM and 423 pound-feet of torque at 3,750 RPM, giving us peak gains of 79 horsepower and 91 pound-feet of torque. Pretty impressive stuff. Curve gains were also seriously impressive, and if you look at our graph here, you can see that we saw gains nearly all the way through. Clearly, the boost got turned up with this tune because it was a little bit less down low, but once the truck got to about 3,000 RPM and boost started to build, the party really took off. Around 5,000 RPM is where we saw the biggest difference, with as much as 112 pound-feet of torque and 107 horsepower over stock at that point. Those are some seriously impressive numbers for a pre-programmed tune, and we did see gains all the way up to redline as well from that 3,000 RPM mark on. So pretty much what you would expect from a twin-turbo engine like this one, and I can tell you that the truck definitely felt much more rowdy after the tune was applied, even in a conservative environment here on the dyno. So let's talk about some of the other stuff that you can do here. The CTS3 gives you the option to switch between multiple different performance levels to really fine-tune how your truck responds. Now, these tunes do vary and each has a different focus. You've got an economy one, towing, throttle response, and a couple for outright performance. Now, this is also going to save your stock calibration, meaning that you can easily return your truck to stock at any time should you need to do so. Now, this one also allows you to adjust the transmission tuning for firmer, more positive shifts. Now, we applied that to our truck as well with the engine tune, and though it didn't necessarily make a difference in power, you can feel a difference in how the truck shifts and responds, again, even in a controlled environment like on our dyno. Now, in addition to being a tuner, the CTS3 also functions as a monitor and data logging device. It gives you a lot of information and flexibility right here at your fingertips. It provides a full complement of information, including things you don't normally see on your instrument cluster, like boost, intake air temperature, and more. And you can also change this around to a bunch of different displays to show exactly what you want to see, and one tap is going to record your drive or dyno run as well, so you can keep an eye on the health of your engine. Now, this also functions as a programmer too, which I sort of alluded to earlier, and you can alter a bunch of different parameters by diving into the menus. So you're able to adjust for larger tire sizes or different gear ratios. You can disable stop start, change your speed limiter and your fueling, and more when you apply the tune. And on top of all of that, this can also do performance tests like 0 to 60, quarter mile, and you can read and clear diagnostic trouble codes, which is very helpful should you happen to get a check engine light at some point. Updates are also easy too, thanks to the built-in Wi-Fi, and you can also update it using the software for free that you can download and the included USB cable. Now, the big highlight with construction is the Insight CTS3 monitor that we've been looking at. Now, this is a large 5-inch full-color capacitive touchscreen that plugs right into the OBD2 port under the dash. This is simple, it's clean, and it's easy to use, and the resolution is nice too, so you can easily see necessary information at a glance. And it's a good size as well. Even if you have to pay extra to see like I do, it won't be an issue to see everything once this is mounted up in the truck. Now, it also again comes with all of the cables that you need, your OBD2 cable and your USB cable for updating, plus you get an included windshield mount, which is not something you see with every tuner. And one thing that's worth noting about this OBD2 cable too, if you notice this part right here, you've got the option to add in some additional sensors from Edge too, and these will just plug and play. They can piggyback right off of each other. You can do things like an exhaust gas temperature sensor or a reverse camera if you want to add an additional camera too. Pretty neat stuff that they allow you to do, and it comes pretty much ready to go right in the kit. Pricing for this setup comes in at about $675, which is a pretty darn good price considering the quality and all the features that you get here. And let's not forget about the monitoring capabilities and the power increase as well. Think of it this way, you pay at least that much, if not more, for a set of auxiliary gauges and a tune, and this setup gives you all of that plus a lot more customizability. So for what you're getting here, it's a pretty solid value. Installation gets a 1 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and it should only take you about 30 minutes to complete. The CTS3 just plugs into the OBD2 port under the dash, and it's ready to go. Everything is included right here. It's a pretty easy setup. You'll likely spend much more time routing the cable and playing around with those settings than you will actually getting this installed and getting the tune loaded up. So with that, let's jump on over to the truck, and we'll show you how to get it done. All right, friends, now it is time to install the Edge CTS3 on our 2017 F-150 EcoBoost. So before we plug this in and get the tune loaded up, we got a couple things we need to do. First, we're gonna take our OBD2 cable, which is gonna be pretty self-explanatory. One end goes to the OBD2 port, the other end looks like an HDMI cable, and it plugs right into the back here, only goes one way. So plug this in, we're gonna get our windshield mount right into, just slide that in until it clicks into place. We're gonna go ahead, pop this on the windshield, plug it in, and then we'll get our tune loaded up. We're gonna start by attaching the included windshield mount to our windshield. Super easy, just the suction cup and this little tab here. So we're gonna get it into place on our windshield, and we're gonna push the tab down. It should lock into place. Now there is a towelette included in the kit too. We suggest wiping your windshield before you do this. We're gonna move ours so you can see it a little better in our camera, but that's just to give you an idea of how it's set up and where it's gonna sit. So now that we've got that done, we're gonna go ahead and plug this in, and then we can get the tune fired up. Next, we're gonna take our cable here, and we're gonna plug it in right underneath the dash into the OBD2 port. Once we've got that in, we're gonna have some excess wire. Now we're routing our cable down the side here. We're gonna take the zip ties that are included in the kit, kind of cinch things up a little bit here. Now you see we've got some excess cable here. So what we're gonna do is take the included zip ties in the kit, kind of roll this up a little bit, make it a bit of a cleaner install, and get it out of the way. Now you don't have to do this if you're not gonna leave the monitor installed, but since it has data monitoring capabilities, we're gonna do it. So we're gonna get this kind of tied up like so. All right. I'll trim off some of the excess. And then we're gonna take one more zip tie and get up underneath of the dashboard and find a spot to tuck that in. Now you wanna make sure that it's clear of your emergency brake pedal and any of the other pedals. So where we've got that right now is pretty good. So I'm just gonna take another zip tie, zip it onto one of the harnesses up here, and we're gonna call it good. All right, so that is clear of everything. You can pick whatever one you want up in there, but we'll just get it out of the way, leave our cable routed right down the side there, and we're ready to go. All right, then we'll just check, make sure we're not in the way of our emergency brake or anything else. We're gonna leave our cable routed right at the side here, so it'll be out of the way. And now we're ready to actually go and utilize the tuner. All right, now we've got our tuner plugged in and ready to go. One thing to take note of here is that you wanna make sure before you start this process that A, your battery is in good condition, or like we have here, you've got it plugged into a battery tender, because the truck is gonna be cycling on and off a bunch of times, and it needs that battery to be really solid to get through this whole process. Next thing we're gonna do is make sure that our ignition is in the run position, but the engine is turned off. That's gonna be very important because the tuner won't be able to do its thing without that being the case. So now that all that is out of the way, we're gonna dive right into the menu here, and we're gonna start with the tuning section. So tap that part of the screen, and this is gonna bring us to our tuner menu. Now there's basically two things you can choose from here. If you go to Quick Adjust, this will take you through a little tutorial if you need that again later. And you can change the different tire sizes or gear ratios. So if you picked oversized tires, if you've done aftermarket wheels and tires on your truck, you can add that in here, get your speedometer and odometer reading correctly. Same deal down here for the gears. If you change your rear end gear ratio, you can change that here as well. Get everything running back the way it should. Now we haven't changed any of that. Our truck is on stock tires and of course in the stock gears. You can also just quickly reset everything here. So we're gonna go back and we're gonna dive into tuning the truck. So there's a bunch of different tunes that you can pick from here, and you are able to customize these as you go through. Tapping the little eye on the side here will give you some information. For example, the extreme tuning one that we're gonna put on this truck does require 91 and up octane gas. Our truck runs 93, so that's not a problem here. You can also modify your stock tune, and it'll show you a bunch of different parameters that you can do. You can do that with every single one of these. So we're gonna start with the extreme tune. So next we have a section where we can change the transmission tuning. You've got your firm shift, you can modify your stock one, or you can skip this module. We're gonna go ahead and do the firm tune here. And this is gonna take us in, and it's gonna start with the transmission tuning. We're gonna start with this, then it's gonna get to the engine tuning. We'll be able to modify some parameters there afterwards. So we're gonna hit continue. And it's gonna start by saving our stock data. So you can use this to restore your vehicle back to stock at any time, should you need to do so. So this is gonna take you through a couple of menus. It's gonna load up a little bit. This is gonna take some time, and while it does this, you're gonna hear some things happen. You're gonna hear some modules clicking, your dashboard's gonna shut off, some things are gonna start back up again, so you hear some binging and bonging. Again, this is why you wanna make sure that your battery is in tip-top shape before you start this process, or you've got it plugged into a battery tender. All right, now this is saving our original transmission control module programming, so again, we'll be able to reset everything back to stock if we need to later. You might be able to hear our truck is binging and bonging. The dashboard is going on and off. Do not worry about any of this. It is totally normal with this sort of programmer thing. So don't take anything of it. Don't read anything into it. It will be fine. All right, now that we've got our transmission calibration done, we get to the fun part where we can change some of the different parameters within our actual engine tune. So let's go to customize here. Now you can just install things as it is if you want to do that. We're gonna do a bunch of different stuff here. So again, we've got our tires and gears just like we showed you before. If we go down to switches, you see there's a couple of different things. One is the auto start stop. Now we're leaving everything as is, but I just want to show you what you've got to modify here. You can change limiters here. So if you want to turn off your speed limiter, your rev limiter in drive and in neutral. Again, we're gonna leave all of this as is. You've got your fan on. You can change the degree at which it turns on. This is stock. Again, we're gonna leave it like that. Then you get into fueling. If you want to change fueling, I wouldn't recommend getting too deep into this unless you really know what you're doing or making some other modifications to accommodate for it. So we'll leave that as it is. And that's pretty much it. So since we didn't change anything, we're gonna hit skip. If you did change anything, you'll hit install here. So it'll skip, and it'll ask us right here, tell us we have not made any adjustments. So we're gonna install the tune as is without making any changes to the adjustable parameters. So we'll hit yes. And it'll show us our tunes that we have selected, which is the extreme engine tune, the trans firm shift tune, and all the other stuff that we did earlier. So since we didn't change anything here, it'll say not applicable. So we're just gonna hit accept and install. And this is going to write the engine tune to our truck. All right, now that we've got that done, it's asking us to turn the ignition off. We'll hit the screen to continue. And we're turning the ignition back into the run position. Again, without starting the engine. We'll hit the screen to continue. You will have to do this a couple of times. But again, just follow the prompts. It's pretty easy to get this done. So this is now writing the transmission firm shift tune onto the truck's transmission control module. So we've got our engine one already on there. This one is going on now. So pretty soon we'll be up and ready to go again. All right, just like before, asking us to turn the ignition off, touch the screen, and then turn it back into the run position without starting the engine. Hit the screen to continue. All right, now we've got our vehicle is successfully tuned. So we'll hit continue to return back to our main menu. Now, while we're here, I want to take you through some of the other features of the CTS3. So moving right over here, we've got our performance tests. So this is really cool if you want to do some different testing on your vehicle. As always, make sure you do this in a closed course. Don't do it on public roads. So we've got our 0 to 60 tests, 0 to 100, quarter mile, and eighth mile. Plus you can see your saved tickets. So let's hit 0 to 60. I'll show you what comes up here. This is basically going to be a stopwatch and your speed. And it'll give you some staging lights too. Now you can just hit start and go yourself, or you can do it from a stop because it does know your vehicle's speed. So as soon as you take off, it'll start the timer. Pretty cool stuff. So going back from here, we can just go down to quarter mile test. I'll show you what that looks like as well. Again, pretty much the same thing. It looks like this 0 to 60 screen did, but this is going to record your quarter mile time. So again, we'll go back here and we'll hit exit and bring us back to the main menu. We've also got settings if you want to change some different things within the device itself, such as colors and display and audio settings. This does have integrated Wi-Fi, so if you want to do Wi-Fi updates, you can do that. Set up your email and all of that as well. You can also just plug this into the computer and download any updates or software that you need. The software is free from Edge. You can just download it right on their website. You can also change things like unit of measure, restore defaults, alerts, and change a couple of other things in here as well. But that's not the most fun part. We also have our EAS settings. So Edge offers some plug-and-play modules, so if you want to add something like an exhaust gas temperature sensor, you can do that right here. It plugs right into the OBD2 cable that we have and basically makes it plug and play. You've got things like, again, the exhaust gas temperature sensor. There's even a reverse camera if you want to add that as well. Going over to diagnostics, this is basically exactly what you think it is. This is scanning the truck for engine trouble codes. So if we hit trouble codes up here, it's going to scan the truck. Shows us that we don't have any trouble codes available, which is great news. You can also clear them or see information about them as well if you do happen to have it. Going back here, we get to the last section, which is the gauges and logging. So if we touch that, this is another pretty cool part, and this is one of the standout features of the CTS3 because it gives you a really comprehensive gauge package here as well. So in addition to just being a tuner and a diagnostic tool, this also has data logging and all kinds of different stuff. So this gives you a quick tutorial, but we're going to show you what it looks like as well. So if we hit continue here, this will bring us through. We're going to show you all of this stuff. Some of this we already talked about. All right, so this brings us to the main screen, and this is just the default for it. So if you swipe down from the top here, you see there's a couple of different things you can do. If you want to start recording data, you just hit that recording right there. You can also change your wallpaper, your theme settings, and your layout. So if you hit theme settings, this will give you some options to change around the color and kind of what this looks like. Again, you've got your warning zone, alert zone, all kinds of different stuff here. Now we're just going to leave this as it is. We're not going to play around with it. You can do whatever you want to mess around and get it to look the way that you want it to. This will take a moment every time you go back. We're going to hit continue. We got to go through this. Right. If we swipe down again from the top, we've also got the edit layout section. So this is also pretty cool because you can change what is displayed on the screen. So again, this will give you a little quick tutorial when you plug this in. If you've gotten familiar with it after you've seen this video or played with it a little bit, you can hit disable. So we've got a couple of different things here. So this is the one that we have right now. If we want to change that, we can touch that and it'll give us a bunch of different options. So you can see here, this has all kinds of different stuff just displayed in numbers. Things like your intake air temperature, RPM, pedal position, boost, which is really important for a turbo engine like the EcoBoost that we've got here. And you can scroll down and see some other stuff. We've got an off-road screen that shows you pitch and roll, so if you're off-roading with your truck, that's something cool to see. Another one that's kind of similar to that, and a bunch of others as well. You can really just kind of tailor this pretty much to however it suits your fancy. We're not going to mess around too much with it, but it gives you an idea of what kinds of things this can do. All right, so that's just some of the different features. Again, you can play around with this. If we go back to the main menu, actually, we can show you a couple of other things as well. So we'll go back here, and once it brings us back to this main screen, there's a couple of other things we can do that make this even a little bit easier and more fun. So if you double tap in any of these sections, for example, if we double tap right here in load, this will bring up a menu to change this specific readout. So you can change, say, your lambda sensor, or if you want to change it to your map sensor or something like that, you can do this as well. You've also got different advanced ones if you want to do that as well. This will take a moment. It's going to gather some information from the car. This will take a moment. It's going to gather some information from the truck, and then we'll be able to pick some different stuff as well. It's pretty cool what this thing can actually do because you can get pretty in-depth with it. Okay, now we can change some other stuff in here as well if you want. Again, we're just going to kind of leave that as is, but it gives you an idea of some of the stuff you can do. Now again, once we're back to this main screen, this main gauge screen at least, you can also do a couple of other cool things. So if you swipe either left or right, this will change the readout for you. So if you happen to like this one, or one of the others like this, if you just want as much information as possible, you've got this as well. So that goes back to this edit layout thing. You can pick your 3 favorites and they will show up right here. So if you change those out, you can swipe through them as you're on the road. Now, of course, do this when you're stopped. Don't do it while you're driving. Be safe, of course. So we can also swipe up from the bottom here, and that brings up our main menu. So if we want to jump over to diagnostics or settings or anything like that, or just go back to home, we can do that from here as well. So we're going to swipe back here. I'm going to leave it on this one because I like that big boost gauge right there. And I like seeing our intake air temperature sensor because that's something that's important for us here on the dyno. So we're going to go ahead and swipe up, and we'll go right back to home. And that will automatically stop the data acquisition. That's going to wrap it up here for our review, install, and dyno test of the Edge Evolution CTS3 tuner fitting 2011 to 2020 3.5-liter EcoBoost F-150s, excluding the Raptor. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, for all things F-150, be sure to keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.